The sun was setting over the junk fields of Drelisf. A cold wind moved across the metal hills of scrap, whistling between broken engines, rusted panels, and the forgotten pieces of starships that once flew proud in the galaxy. Kai Ren walked slowly through the piles of trash, wearing his patched-up coat and thick gloves. He had lived here for years, alone, quiet, and forgotten, just like the junk he collected. He was once an engineer on a Federation ship, but after a major accident and a few wrong decisions, he had left that life behind. Now he worked as a salvager. Every evening he searched the junk fields for anything useful: old tech, wires, battery cells, or even something he could fix and sell. That day had been quiet. He found a cracked solar panel, a few metal rods, and a strange cube he didn't understand. Nothing special. As the wind grew colder, he decided to call it a night. He was walking back toward his cabin when he passed an old storage container. It was half buried under a fallen ship wing, covered in dust and scorch marks. He had passed it 100 times. Everyone said it was empty. But tonight something was different. Kai stopped. He turned and looked at the container. The sound had been soft, but real. Knock. Knock. This time, he was sure. Something or someone was inside. He moved closer, heart beating faster. The container was sealed shut with rusted locks and bent metal. He placed his ear against the cold surface. Silence. Then, knock, knock, knock. He stepped back. What in the stars? Kai looked around. The junk field was empty. He wasn't expecting visitors, and no one ever came this deep into the fields. Without thinking much more, he grabbed his laser cutter from his tool belt. It sparked to life with a dull red glow. Slowly, carefully, he began to slice through the lock. The metal groaned as he worked. Dust filled the air. After 10 minutes, the door finally gave way, falling open with a loud clang. Inside, it was dark. The smell was musty, old metal, oil, and something else. Something faintly sweet. Then, he saw her. Curled up in the corner of the container was a small figure. A girl, thin and covered in a silver wrap that looked like a medical blanket. Her skin was pale, almost silver blue, and her hair hung in tangled strands around her face. Her eyes blinked open slowly as the light from Kai's torch fell on her. Kai froze. She didn't look fully human, but she wasn't a machine either. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked softly. She didn't answer. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. She tried to sit up, but winced in pain. One hand reached out toward him, trembling. Kai stepped closer, kneeling beside her. "Don't worry, I'm not here to hurt you." Her eyes locked onto his. In them he saw fear, and something else. Relief. Without thinking further, Kai lifted her into his arms. She was light, too light, like she hadn't eaten in days. "I'll get you warm," he whispered. "Let's get you out of here." Back at his cabin, Kai laid her gently on a padded cot in the corner of his workshop. He wrapped her in a blanket, then turned on the heater. He brought her water and a protein bar, but she only took a small sip. Hours passed. She didn't speak, but she didn't sleep either. She watched everything carefully. His tools, the glowing lights, the humming machines. Finally, Kai sat beside her. "I'm Kai. I live here," he said, trying to keep his voice calm. "You don't have to be afraid." Her lips moved again. A soft robotic sound came out, half static, half speech. "Vela." Kai leaned closer. "Vela, is that your name?" She nodded slowly. He smiled gently. "Well, Vela, you're safe now." She looked around the room again, then at him. "Not safe," she said in a broken voice. "Danger. Coming." Kai's smile faded. He didn't understand what kind of danger she meant, but he could tell one thing. She wasn't just a lost traveler. She had been left in that container for a reason, and not a good one. Who put her there? Why was she buried? In a scrap field? And why did she seem more advanced than any being he had ever met? As the heater hummed quietly and the cold night fell over Drelisfur, Kai sat beside the mysterious girl, unaware that his life had just changed forever. He thought he had saved a lost soul from the trash, but he had just pulled something much bigger out of the dark, something powerful, something hunted, something not quite human. The morning light slipped softly through the cracked window of Kai's small cabin. Outside, the dusty junk field stretched far, a silent graveyard of forgotten machines and broken dreams. Inside, the air was warm, but the room still felt strange with Vela lying on the cot. Kai watched her carefully. She had not moved much during the night. Her breathing was steady but shallow, as if she was still weak from whatever had happened before he found her. Kai knew he needed to learn more about her. But how? He reached for his old translator device, a gadget he had fixed many times over the years. It was meant to help talk to traders and scavengers from other worlds. Maybe it could help now. Vela's eyes opened when he switched it on. She looked at the small screen with curious attention. "Can you understand this?" Kai asked. She nodded, but when she tried to speak, her voice was strange, soft, broken, like a machine trying to find words. The translator caught fragments of what she said, but many words came out as beeps or odd sounds. Kai frowned. "You're not just speaking a different language, you're speaking in codes." Vela's gaze became sharper. She reached into the folds of her silver wrap and pulled out a small device, thin and glowing faintly with blue light. It looked like a computer chip, but unlike anything Kai had ever seen. Kai took it carefully. The device hummed quietly in his hand. Suddenly, Vela touched her wrist. There was a faint light under her skin, like a tiny screen hidden beneath. Her fingers moved swiftly, pressing invisible buttons. A soft voice came from the device in Kai's hand. It spoke in a language Kai could not understand, but the patterns and codes were clear. It was a system language, a machine's way to talk. Kai's eyes widened. "This is not just a girl," he whispered. Vela nodded, looking tired but alert. She tried again to speak. "Systems, secure, override." Kai understood one word: override. That meant she was trying to break into or control something. He asked, "Are you a machine? Or part machine?" Vela's eyes flickered. "Hybrid, biomechanical." Kai had heard stories of such beings, creatures made from living flesh, and machines, designed for special missions by alien forces. But he had never met one. He decided to test her knowledge. He pulled out an old data pad filled with blueprints of machines and technology. He showed her the screen. Vela's eyes scanned the images quickly. Then she pointed at the data pad and said something clearly this time. "Optimize energy flow. Reduce loss." Kai was surprised. She spoke like an engineer. "Where did you learn all this?" he asked. She looked away, then whispered, "Programmed, built to serve." Kai's mind raced. If she was programmed, was she like a tool, a weapon? Why had someone thrown her away? Before he could ask more, his small radio crackled with static. "Kai, you there?" The voice of Rima, his old friend from the Federation, came through. Kai smiled, relieved for the distraction. "Yeah, I'm here. I'll call you back in a few." He turned back to Vela. "I need help to figure out what you really are. I'll call Rima." Vela nodded slowly, then suddenly winced, clutching her wrist. Kai saw the faint blue light flicker under her skin again. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She shook her head. "Pain. Signal." Kai frowned. "Signal? Like a warning?" Vela closed her eyes, struggling to explain. Suddenly, a soft beep came from the device in his hand. Kai looked at it closely. A red light was blinking rapidly, a tracking signal. His heart skipped a beat. "They're looking for you," he said quietly. "Who is they?" Vela didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and took Kai's hand. "We must hide," she said. Kai nodded, adrenaline rushing through him. They had to move fast, The next hours were tense. Kai covered the cabin's entrances with scrap metal and old panels, trying to block any signals from outside. He also started to search for a way to disable the tracker. Vela sat quietly on the cot, watching him. She was no longer weak. Her eyes held a strange calm, but Kai could feel her alertness. She was ready for anything. "You said you were made by someone," Kai said. "Who made you? Why did they want to track you?" Vela's voice was low. "Created by Coalition. Weapon. Controlled." Kai's eyes narrowed. "The Coalition? They are a group of alien worlds, often hostile to humans. If they want you back, it means you are dangerous." Vela nodded. "I rejected orders. They sent retrieval team." Kai swallowed hard. Retrieval. Teams meant soldiers or hunters. "They will come for you soon," she said. Kai looked outside. The sun was almost gone now, and the stars were beginning to shine. He thought of his peaceful life before tonight. It was over. "I won't let them take you," Kai said firmly. "Not while I'm here." Vela smiled faintly, the first real smile since he found her. "Thank you, Kai." Kai looked at her and knew one thing clearly. This was only the beginning. They were not just two lost souls in the junk field anymore. They were now caught in a game much bigger than either of them understood, and the danger was closing in fast. The night outside was dark and cold, but inside Kai's cabin, the small heater hummed softly. Vela lay on the cot, still weak but growing stronger by the hour. Her eyes, pale and thoughtful, watched the little room as if trying to understand every detail. Kai was busy working on the strange device she had given him, the small chip glowing faintly blue in his hand. It felt warm, almost alive. He studied its surface, trying to find a way to stop the tracking signal blinking red. Suddenly, Vela sat up with unexpected strength. "Kai," she said, voice firm but low. "I need to show you." Kai looked up, surprised. He helped her stand. She walked to the wall and touched a spot that looked ordinary, but to Kai's shock, a hidden panel slid open, revealing a small control board with blinking lights and buttons. Vela pressed one button, and a holographic screen appeared in the air. A detailed map of the galaxy with several points flashing in red. "These are the Coalition's retrieval ships," she explained. "They search for me." Kai leaned closer, amazed. The technology was far beyond anything he had ever seen on Drelisfer or even in Federation archives. "But why you?" Kai asked. Vela's face grew serious. "I was created for one purpose, to serve the Coalition as a weapon." Kai's heart beat faster. "A weapon?" She nodded. "A living machine, a hybrid, part flesh, part technology, designed to infiltrate, control, destroy." Kai took a deep breath. "So you are like a soldier?" "No," Vela shook her head. "I am not their tool anymore. I became aware. I made choices. I escaped." Kai looked at her, feeling respect and sadness at the same time. "You are more than what they made you for," he said softly. Vela's eyes shone faintly. "Thank you, Kai." Suddenly, the small device in Kai's hand beeped loudly, urgent and fast. "The signal is stronger," Kai said, frowning. "They are close." Vela moved to the window and looked out into the night sky. Bright lights moved swiftly, small ships approaching Drelis 4, heading straight for them. "They come," she whispered. Kai's mind raced. They needed a plan. Outside the cabin, the first patrol drones of the Coalition landed quietly on the junk field. They moved with precise steps, scanning the ground for any signs of life. Kai and Vela hid in a narrow tunnel between broken hulls and rusted machines. "We cannot fight them," Kai said. "Not with what we have." Vela's eyes focused. "I have abilities. I can disable their weapons if I can connect to their systems." Kai nodded. "Let's try." Vela took a small tool from her wrap and attached it to her wrist. A soft blue light spread along her arm, moving like liquid metal beneath her skin. She reached out her hand and touched one of the drones as it passed nearby. Instantly, The drone's lights flickered and died. Its system shut down. Kai watched, amazed. "They cannot harm me," Vela said quietly. "I can stop them." But only for a short time. The drones began to gather, trying to reboot. Kai whispered, "We need to get to the junkyard's core, the old control center. If we can use its power, maybe we can stop the retrieval team completely." Vela nodded. "Lead the way." They moved quickly through the maze of scrap, avoiding patrols and hidden scanners. Kai's knowledge of the junk field helped them stay one step ahead. When they reached the control center, the door was heavy and locked. But Kai used his laser cutter to open it quietly. Inside was a small room filled with old computers, dusty panels, and broken screens. Kai found the main console and began to work. Vela connected her arm to the system. Her skin glowed softly as her machine parts linked with the control board. "Power. Rerouting," she said. Suddenly, the entire junkyard lit up with blue energy. The old mining robots and equipment began to hum to life. Kai smiled. "We can use them as defense." Vela looked at the screen showing the incoming ships. "They will come fast," she said. Kai nodded, readying himself. Minutes later, the first group of retrieval soldiers arrived in armored suits, stepping out onto the junk field. They were silent and precise, confident they would find their target easily. But the junkyard was no longer empty. The mining robots, controlled by Vela's command, surrounded the soldiers. The robots moved with strength but no intention to harm. They blocked the soldiers' paths, lifting heavy metal arms and making the way impossible. The soldiers fired weapons, but Vela's system created a shield of energy waves, disabling the weapons instantly. Kai watched as the soldiers' frustration grew. "Vela," he said, "you're doing more than surviving. You're fighting back." Vela's eyes met his. "I am fighting for freedom." The retrieval team retreated, unable to capture her. Kai and Vela stood together in the control center, breathing hard. "We won today," Kai said, "but this is only the beginning." Vela looked at the stars outside the cracked window. "They will not stop," she said. Kai touched her shoulder. "Neither will we." The night was still, but the galaxy was waking to a new story, one of courage, hope, and the strength to be more than what others expected. Kai had saved her from the trash, but now she was a key to a greater future. And together, they would face whatever came next. The morning sun rose slowly over Drelisfer, casting long shadows across the junk field. The air was still, but the quiet did not last long. Kai and Vela sat inside the control center planning their next move. The victory the night before had been small, a warning shot, not the end of the danger. Vela looked tired but determined. "They will come again," she said. Kai nodded. "We need to be ready." Just then a low rumble shook the ground. Outside, massive ships descended from the sky, larger and more powerful than the small patrol drones before. The coalition had sent a full retrieval team. Kai's heart raced. The ships landed on the edges of the junk field, and from their open doors, soldiers in heavy armor stepped out. Their helmets reflected the harsh light, and their weapons were unlike anything Kai had ever seen. "This is serious," Kai said. Vela stood, moving with grace despite her growing strength. "They want to take me back. They will not stop." Kai felt a mixture of fear and resolve. "We need allies." Kai reached out to his friend Rima, a Federation tech officer with a sharp mind and a strong heart. He explained everything in a quick, urgent message. Within hours, Rima arrived in a small ship landing quietly near the junkyard. She stepped out carrying equipment and a confident smile. "I'm here to help," she said. Vela watched Rima carefully. "You trust her?" she asked. Kai smiled. "I do. Rima knows about the coalition and what they are capable of." Rima nodded. "And we have to act fast." Together, they set up defenses around the junk field. Rima worked on upgrading the mining robots, giving them better sensors and tools to block the soldiers. Kai and Vela trained the robots to respond quickly and protect the control center. As the day passed, tension grew. The retrieval team was not idle. Scouts moved through the junk field, searching carefully. Kai noticed their movements. They are testing us, looking for weaknesses. Vela's eyes narrowed. They do not understand. I am not just a weapon. I am a mind. Kai placed a hand on her shoulder, and together, we are stronger. That night, the first battle began. The soldiers attacked with speed and power, moving through the scrap with heavy steps. The upgraded robots met them head-on, blocking paths, and using tools to disable weapons without harm. Vela used her biomechanical powers to interfere with the soldiers' systems, cutting off their communications and slowing their movements. Kai fought beside them, using his knowledge of technology and the junk field to help the robots outsmart the invaders. The fight was fierce, but careful. No lives were lost, only control and power tested. After hours, the soldiers retreated, frustrated but not defeated. Kai breathed hard. They will come back. Vela looked at the sky. We must be ready. Days passed with small skirmishes and careful planning. Kai, Vela, and Rima worked closely, building a strong team. Vela shared more about her past. She was not just a machine or a weapon. She had feelings, hopes, and dreams. Kai saw the human side in her, the part that wanted to live free, not as a tool. One evening, as the sun set behind the metal hills, Kai asked, "What will you do if they take you back?" Vela looked far away. "I will fight. I will not be a slave." Kai nodded. "Then we fight with you." The coalition's final attack came at dawn. Heavy ships filled the sky, soldiers pouring out with new weapons and armor. But the junk field was ready. Robots moved like shadows, striking, with precision. Vela used her powers to create fields that blocked weapons and communications. Kai and Rima coordinated the defense from the control center, directing every move. The battle was intense, but the humans and machines stood strong. After hours, the coalition was forced to retreat again, losing more than they expected. Kai smiled at Vela. "We did it." She smiled back, her eyes bright. "Together we are more than just survivors, we are free." As the dust settled, Kai realized that saving Vela had changed everything. She was no longer just a girl found in a container. She was a symbol, a proof that even in the darkest places, hope and courage could grow. And with friends by her side, she would face whatever the galaxy sent next. The days after the battle felt like a quiet pause before a storm. The coalition's retreat was not a defeat, it was a warning. They would return, stronger and with more force. Kai, Vela, and Rima knew they had little time to prepare, but they also knew they needed help beyond the junk field. Rima spoke seriously as they gathered in the control center. "We need to tell the Federation what's happening. They have the power to protect you, Vela." Vela looked thoughtful. "The Federation is cautious. They fear the coalition's power and the risk." Kai's jaw tightened. "But they must see you're not a threat. You're alive. You're free." Rima nodded. "I will make the call, but it will take time." Kai watched Vela closely. She spent hours studying old data files Rima had brought, learning about human history, culture, and the Federation's ideals. Despite her strange origins, Vela began to understand why humans fought so hard for freedom and choice. One afternoon, as the sun shone weakly through the window, Kai asked, "Do you want to live among humans? To be part of their world?" Vela's eyes softened. "I want to belong, not as a weapon, but as myself." Kai smiled. "Then we'll help you get there." Rima's message finally reached Federation Command. The response was slow but hopeful. An envoy was sent to meet Kai and Vela, promising safe passage and protection. But the coalition was watching. They intercepted the message and sent their forces faster than expected. Kai and Vela prepared for the coming storm. The Federation envoy arrived quietly in a sleek ship, landing near the junk field. Commander Sarah stepped out, calm and confident. She had heard many stories about the mysterious hybrid and was ready to listen. Kai introduced Vela to the commander. Sarah studied Vela closely, then nodded. You are unlike anything we have seen. Your existence challenges many rules. Vela spoke softly. I am not a tool. I am free. Sarah smiled faintly. Freedom is hard-earned. We will help you. But the coalition was not far behind. Their warships darkened the sky. Kai, Vela, Rima, and Commander Sarah stood together, ready to defend their new hope. Vela activated her powers, creating a shield of energy around the junk field. Robots moved to block the enemy, coordinated by Rima's expert commands. Kai worked the control systems, hacking into the coalition's signals to slow their attacks. The battle was fierce. The Federation envoy's ships joined the fight, turning the tide. Vela's strength and humanity shone as she used her abilities to protect life, not destroy. The coalition's forces were pushed back once again, their plan to recapture Vela failing. After the battle, Commander Sarah spoke to Kai and Vela. The Federation will grant you asylum, Vela. You will be safe here. Vela smiled, tears in her eyes. Kai felt a new hope rising. This is just the beginning, Sarah said. But together, we will face the future. As peace settled over the junk field, Kai knew he had saved more than a girl in a container. He had saved a new life, a new chance for understanding between worlds. Vela was no longer lost or alone. She was home. The days that followed the Federation's promise were filled with hope and hard work. Kai, Vela, and Rima worked side by side, preparing the junkyard for whatever might come next. The old mining robots buzzed with new energy, and the control center hummed with activity. But all knew the coalition would not give up easily. One evening, as the sun dipped below the metal hills, alarms suddenly blared across the junk field. Kai's heart jumped. They're here! Outside, heavy dropships sliced through the smoky sky, landing near the junkyard with powerful engines shaking the ground. Soldiers poured out armed with advanced weapons and moving with careful precision. Kai looked at Vela. This is it. We have to defend everything. Vela nodded, her eyes glowing softly. We fight for freedom. Inside the narrow tunnels beneath the junkyard, Kai led Vela and Rima to the core of their defense system. The underground maze was a labyrinth of forgotten corridors and old mining shafts, perfect for setting traps and ambushes. Here, Kai said, we can control the mining robots and use the environment against them. Rima worked quickly, linking the control systems to Vela's biomechanical interface. Blue light spread along Vela's arm as she connected deeper to the network. This will boost our defenses, she said, her voice steady. Outside, the coalition, soldiers advanced unaware of the dangers waiting beneath their feet. As they entered the junkyard, large mining machines suddenly sprang to life, blocking their path. Huge mechanical arms swung down, forcing the soldiers to scatter. Vela's voice echoed through the comms, calm but commanding. Disable weapons, no harm. Soldiers found their guns suddenly useless as energy fields cut off power and communications. Kai and Rima monitored the battle from the control center, guiding robots and setting traps. In the dark tunnels, the final fight began. Coalition soldiers pushed forward, but the narrow corridors worked against them. Mines activated, alarms flashed, and robotic arms swiped at their legs and arms. Not to hurt, but to stop. Vela moved through the underground halls like a shadow, her biomechanical parts glowing softly. She reached out and touched a soldier's helmet, and instantly his systems shut down. He collapsed unconscious but safe. Kai admired her strength and control. You're amazing. Vela smiled faintly. I fight for peace. After hours of struggle, the coalition soldiers were forced to retreat, leaving the junkyard quiet once more. Kai, Vela, and Rima emerged from the tunnels, tired but victorious. We did it, Kai said, relief in his voice. Vela looked to the stars, her expression thoughtful. The galaxy must learn that life is more than weapons, Kai nodded. And we will help them learn. As dawn broke, the junkyard stood strong, a symbol of hope and resistance. Kai knew their fight was not over, but with Vela by his side, he believed anything was possible. Together, they had turned a place of trash into a fortress of freedom, and the future was theirs to build. The sun rose slowly over Drellis, casting golden light over the junk field. The battles were over, for now. The sounds of war had faded, replaced by quiet hope. Kai stood outside his cabin, looking across the fields of metal and scrap. What once had been a place of forgotten trash was now a symbol of something greater. Beside him, Vela stood tall, her pale skin glowing softly in the morning light. She no longer seemed fragile or lost. She was strong, alive, and free. Kai smiled. "We did it, Vela." She turned to him, her eyes warm. "Because you heard my knock," she said quietly. "Because you saved me." Kai shook his head. "No. Because you showed me what it means to be more than what others see." The Federation had granted Vela asylum. She was no longer a secret to hide or a weapon to fear. Instead, she became a symbol of hope, proof that life, no matter how strange, deserved respect. Rima worked with her, helping Vela learn about human ways, technology, and culture. Vela's knowledge of machines and systems was incredible, and soon she was helping improve Federation technology, not for war, but for peace. Kai found new purpose, too. He was no longer just a scavenger. He became a guardian and friend to Vela, proud of the life they were building together. News of Vela's story spread across the galaxy. Many were amazed that a girl once thrown away as trash could be so powerful and kind. Other alien worlds began to reconsider their own actions, thinking twice about what they created and destroyed. Kai and Vela received messages from faraway places. Aliens who wanted peace. Humans who wanted friendship. The galaxy was changing. One evening, Kai and Vela stood together on a small hill overlooking the junkyard. The stars shone bright above them, and the cool breeze whispered promises of new beginnings. Vela smiled and said, "I was made to be a weapon, but I chose to be free." Kai took her hand. "We all have that choice." They looked out at the future, a future built on hope, courage, and the strength to be more than what others expect. And so, the girl from the container was no longer just a lost soul. She was a beacon of light in a dark galaxy. She was proof that even in the worst places, something beautiful could grow. All because one man heard a knock in the silence and chose to listen.